Blue.
Roll intro.
I think I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording. All right, yeah.
Welcome back.
Yay! So,
Listen, your energy like
yes.
40. I need you to bring that down.
Welcome back.
Perfect.
This is Talking It's a Free Action with your hosts.
Skylord.
I mean, you say welcome back. I don't think we've posted one episode yet.
Yes. Welcome back.
Welcome back to this brand new thing
That we've been doing, but not been posting because we're so intelligent. Don't worry.
I mean, we've recorded like 15 episodes of this.
yeah,
They exist somewhere, then they'll never be posted because now they're like 3 years out of date.
that's fine. We'll just do it as a retro thing, and it'll be fine. Retro posts.
I definitely remember like recording episodes talking about like Infinity War.
Yeah.
If original Pac-Man can get so
That did
popular
happen.
again that a Tamagotchi can be made of it, we can post old recordings. Shut up.
Yes, because Tamagotchis are still immensely popular.
And they have to make a certain amount of money to appear at Walmart, and they do. So, there you go.
Yeah, like dimes.
Yeah. It's like those poo-poo
As long as like Walmart
unicorn
outsources costs, then
things.
it doesn't actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about like some really cool stuff today. We were gonna start with something minor
What?
and then work
Anyway,
into some cool.
welcome to this podcast.
Yes, this is a podcast. Yeah, we talk about things. We're very focused. Don't worry, we don't get distracted.
Welcome to the format.
Welcome to the format. We call it
Format.
wild card.
What
Uh,
does that word mean?
Yeah.
Easy. It means
Alright,
we
this
say
is
it
this is
and
the
people
part of the
believe
format
us.
where we talk about.
The fuck?
Uh-huh.
This is the part of the format
Why is that
where we
better
talk
than
about
the
anything.
newscast?
Okay. So the format is
We're not.
we do a thing. We have a topic and we don't talk about it for the entire time. So the topic we're avoiding
Correct.
talking about
we make
today
jokes about how we don't talk about it.
is Godzilla versus Kong. And we'll also avoid talking about World of Warships or whatever the fuck it's called. The end. The first curse word of the day, guys. There we go. Woo.
All right, now that we've completed our format, what do we want to talk about?
You are popping in and out on me. I
Well,
hope
we're
the
not
quality
supposed
is
to
great
talk about
today.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Right.
So,
Let's talk about it.
what have you guys been watching recently?
Well, first let's do our
Nothing.
yeah, not a damn thing. So let's go ahead and do the World of Warships because that'll be a lot faster first. So Will and I both have opinions about this thing, and we're gonna talk about it. And the reason it's on this video thing is because we're having a crossover event with Godzilla vs. Kong right now. So
They are. Oh,
yes,
God.
let's talk about it. So Will, you have the most negative things to say about this franchise / game or whatever the hell it is. So go ahead. What's up?
So, let me preface this by saying the game is probably fine. I've never played it. I've never watched it. I don't care. I have known several people who are absolutely obsessed with World of Wartanks and its associated franchise, and these people are quite annoying, and I don't like them very much. And all they did constantly, I saw them every goddamn day at work, and all they did was pester me for hours about playing this game, or any of the games in this franchise. Which I think there's only two. There's World of Wartanks and World of Warships. I think there's like planes. I've seen in advertisements. I don't know if that's its own game or if they were in one of the other ones. I don't know. I don't care. I was tired of hearing about it. I really didn't care. He went on and on and on and on and on and on about weak points and armor plating and this, that, and the other thing, and I'm just like, I don't care. Please stop talking. And he just wouldn't. And thusly, I made a promise to myself that I would never play.
You know
the
what?
game.
This sounds like a game perfect for Caleb, though.
It does.
I'm sure. The game is probably fine. I just won't play it. I made a personal pact to never play it. So I'm sorry. That's my opinion.
Nope, there we go. That's perfect. So we know it's the audience who plays it who are pieces of annoyance.
All right, let's not go that far. I knew one person who was really fucking annoying about it, and it really killed anything I could have, like, any enjoyment I could have gotten out of it.
Cool. I mean, not cool, but you know what I mean. No, you don't. This is the first one of these. No one knows what I mean at all. Anyways,
Thanks for sharing your opinion. Now, Sky, you're next.
all right. On the opinion segment. So, my opinion is these games are way underutilized by people who do, like, YouTubing as their main thing, or, you know, streaming in general, or especially, like, VTubers. Like, I decided to watch these play after I saw the crossover announcement between Godzilla vs. Kong. I was like, I'm gonna learn about this game a bit from that commercial I saw. I was like, ooh, wow, King Kong on a battleship or Godzilla on a battleship, like that seems pretty dope. I'll take a look at this game. It seems like one of the like best formats for like what those people are looking for in a game. Like you pop in, you can spend time choosing stuff and getting kind of crazy over that if you want to, or literally not, just choose a random thing and go. But the way the game is, you can just sort of play it and do things while not being so focused on controls and whatnot that you can't pay attention to a chat. Like, you can really just have a chat going, see what your people are talking about whatever, talking about your day, you know, whatever, what your strategies for other things are, when your stream schedule is, all that other stuff, while playing it, not detract from it, and still play a whole match within like 15 minutes, you know, and then be ready to go on to another one, and there'll still be stuff to talk about from that stream, you know, things that happen in that time. And some intense moments and a bunch of like other ones that are kind of just sort of in the middle. So I really feel like it'd be a lot better for that format than anyone's really using it for, and more people should consider it for that. I don't know if the tank one is the same way, but yeah. Also, I don't understand why so many things cross over with it. Like, the first time I heard about World of Warships was because they were having a Warhammer crossover with, like, orc ships and stuff. I don't know exactly what was going on there. I was like, neat, but not the time, dude. And then, yeah, this time it showed up again because of that, and when I looked at it a little more, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is a good format for this kind of thing. Why isn't it used more for that? What? But yeah, now that they got Kaiju on the boats.
It's part of their main marketing strategy.
Kaiju. I'm interested. Woo. If I'm ever going to start playing, it's going to be during this event. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Have giant robots.
I'll let you know when they have giant robots, because I'm sure it'll happen sometime. Especially if we get, like, the Pacific Rim Legendary verse crossover with Godzilla vs. Kong. If that happens, yeah, it'll probably happen, too.
That'd be so dope.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we're ready to talk about... Oh, wait, Joy, do you have any opinions about that game, franchise, or anything like that, even if it's just based off the commercials?
Absolutely not. I'm just here to be your endearing host for the evening.
Thank you very much for your sacrifice.
What did he sacrifice?
Time.
You know, do my best.
Alright, so...
Now, let's move on to Godzilla vs. Kong.
I hope that comes out sounding much better in the actual recording.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, yeah, no, it's gonna sound terrible. Just like here. Oh, God. Anyway,
So,
yeah. Go.
Again, I have a preface before we start talking about this. I watched this at work, the movie. I didn't see the end.
That's okay, I'll tell you.
I missed bits here and there. Oh yeah, we should probably also a preface to the preface. Spoiler alert. All right, back to the OG preface. Just like I missed bits here and there. The internet connection wasn't great, so it's like stuttering. So I wasn't paying 100% attention. I feel like I got most of the main lore bits for the first like 45 minutes of it, and there was some big fights They were on screen. They were doing stuff. I was like, cool. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to writing my notes. Doing work. But it was there. It was on, and I had to leave before the ending. So.
Wow, wonderful. Okay, so opinions. Yeah, I think it's time. We got your preface out of the way. What you think? What you want? Wait. Before we do that, here we go. This is something I wanted to do. So it's like, okay, if you were doing the movie, what would you change and why? Go start there.
What would I change?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Keeping in line that you have to, make sure the rest of the legendary verse is still connected. If that weren't a thing, it'd be very
yes,
different.
legendary verse. I know what that means. Firstly, I would probably give the villains a slightly more reason to do what they're doing. It seemed to be kind of dumb. Also, I would probably explain how the Godzilla knew what was going on. I don't know if they did, but I didn't see it. I might have missed
So
it.
definitely get that a lot earlier in the movie. Got it.
Okay, did it explain how he knew what was going on at the end? Maybe.
Excuse me?
Sort of.
She. Godzilla is female.
What? Are they?
Are we gonna have to kill Joey?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Why are we killing Joey
Huh?
this time?
Don't fuck with me. I don't know.
whatever. Anyways.
So, regardless, right? It seems to me like, from my incomplete knowledge of this movie so far, that the bad guys were like, we don't like the fact that this thing exists and it's stronger than us. And their solution to that was to build a giant robot that was as powerful as it to go toe-to-toe with it, with the Godzilla. They wanted to fight Godzilla with the Mecha Godzilla, and they needed something to power it. So they're like, hey, let's get King Kong to lead us to where they get their power from. And Hollow Earth is a thing, which is kind of silly. Or at least the way that they did it seemed a little weird.
Yeah, the inversion
but I
was
don't have
weird.
any major complaints about it. Like it was strange, but whatever. Not that bad.
Yeah, it's definitely
And
been done worse.
Godzilla just kind of shows up at the beginning of the movie to just destroy the facility where they're building this Mecha Godzilla, or at least the surface of it, I guess, or part of it.
Part of it, yeah, part of it. Where the part is being built, because they're building the parts
I
all
don't
over.
know.
Yeah.
He just kind of shows up and wrecks it. And yeah, people were like, "Oh my God, Godzilla just attacked some people. This is horrible." And some people are smart and they question why would he do that. And
then other
most
people
aren't
just-
because they're fucking stupid.
Yeah, and even
And-
someone who's questioned
I don't
it
know how Godzilla
before
knows.
just said, "Hey, derp, it's an animal," and it goes derp, derp, and we were like, "Yeah, why are you being so dumb, guy?
Yeah, it was.
Listen to your daughter; she's giving you like
Yeah,
the
it was kind
information."
of that's. Yeah, that struck me as quite silly, and and it's just like, how the fuck did Godzilla know like that was being done there? That seems like an extreme stretch.
Oh, yeah.
I know very little about Godzilla and its associated universe. Like, does he have some sort of telepathy, some like scrying ability? Does he have like things that inform him of what's going on? Can he pick up like on the radio waves? Was he listening to that weird fucking podcast? Who listens to podcasts?
Until you get to the podcast part,
but that was
most of it's
happening, that was
pretty
talking
close.
about it, like,
But yeah, so okay,
yeah. So like, am I missing something there?
Yeah, you're missing something. I'll get to it when I get to mine. But yeah, so okay, now that we've got that part there and what you would explain done, you want to go through it all and what you sort of think, what you derped, or is that basically the whole opinion? I'm pretty sure you got more in you.
My opinion of the movie. My opinion of the movie is it's a good movie. I thought it was fine. I don't know the end. Because I missed it. I was working. I have a job. I know. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
But
I also have a job.
yeah. I mean,
It was my weekend. Right.
Right.
Which, isn't
The-
right, so, yeah.
I find like kaiju movies to be paradoxical in nature. Like, obviously, you're watching it for the big fucking monsters and the huge fights and all the cool stuff going on screen, right? But also, if you do that too much, there's no movie. So it becomes this balance of like trying to tell a story while also like having kaiju on screen and having them do kaiju stuff. So then you have on one hand people complaining, "Oh man, Godzilla was only in the movie for 4 minutes," and people who complain like, "Man, the plot's really basic and nothing really happened." And then, but you can't satisfy either of those groups, really. So this movie felt fine to me. I'm not a huge kaiju fan. I think they're cool. I watched big things punch big things on screen. Good production value, very expensive CG.
Yeah. Those hairs, man.
The storyline has always felt comic booky to me. I know, right? Like the King Kong looked fucking awesome in that movie, and I love that. Godzilla is a lizard, has scales, less impressive, I'd say visually, from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, I also found it weird.
Although, like, Atom Breath was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I also found it weird that they decided to make, like, Godzilla's head smaller than Kong's. I would have kept Godzilla as slightly bigger than Kong, including his head. Like, that's just how I would have kept it as a directive there, because, I've always looked at, if we're looking at them as pro wrestlers, Godzilla's always been like, Big Show. And then, Big Show's big. He has a few super big moves, like the knockout punch. That's Godzilla's atomic breath. And then King Kong is more of the... How do I say it?
Rey Mysterio?
No, he's not...
Nature Boy.
He's not quite a Rey Mysterio, but like, he's somewhere between, like... Yeah, like Nature Boy, or what's his name? The one who kept breaking people.
Ugh.
Yeah, the orc guy. What's his name?
The Undertaker?
No, the orc.
Brock
looking dude.
Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
That
Yeah,
asshole.
he's somewhere between Brock Lesnar and someone who's a little flashy but still a bruiser. He's kind of right in the middle of those two roles. So I would have kept him a little smaller than Kong. I would have kept Kong a little smaller than Godzilla, just to help keep that sort of feel to them in the fight,
Oh my god, I just had a Jimmy Neutron brain blast.
Alright,
just realized something. In every goddamn Mario game, like in all like the party like in a significant number of the party Mario games, right? They make this big deal of Bowser being the bad guy and Donkey Kong being the good guy. I just realized that it's basically just Godzilla and King Kong, or just Bowser and Bowser and Donkey Kong are based on them. Their whole rivalry comes from that. Fucking
Yeah.
I've just realized this. I don't think that's something that a lot of people think about. I don't think that was incredibly obvious. I hope.
It depends. Anyways, okay. So I guess I'll give my rundown to the movie. Well, first I'll go through my things I would change first.
Real quick. Real quick, I do have one question. Okay, so as someone who doesn't know much about the legendary verse, right? Okay, Godzilla can fire a laser beam.
Correct.
Godzilla is a monkey.
And King Kong's monkey, yeah.
Kong is a monkey.
Yes, sorry. King Kong is a monkey. Godzilla can fire a laser beam. Okay, it feels to me like this Batman versus like Superman argument, right?
Well, yeah, it's more of like
to
humanity
me,
versus Cthulhu. But yeah, continue.
It seems to me, right? People are like, "Oh, Batman versus Superman" or whatever. I'm like, listen, is this not incredibly obvious that Superman would win 10 times out of 10. Like, I get that Bruce Wayne has money and kryptonite exists, but as long as Superman's not a fucking idiot, he's gonna win. He can fly at like near light speed and has the laser vision. Like, I mean, what are you gonna do? King Kong is a monkey, right? He's a big monkey, but he's a monkey. Like, how do you beat laser beam? Like,
Doesn't okay. I will also preface this as I did not see the movie, but I have spent the last.
Sorry, you popped
The
out.
movie came out 2 days. Who won't stop talking about Godzilla?
Uh-huh.
Did I?
Yeah, you popped out. Can you say it again?
Fine.
I'm recording, so that's why I need I need to hear him.
True.
Which part?
I heard
the
that
last
you
thing you
haven't
said?
seen it.
Right. So I haven't seen it, but I have been stuck in between 6 people all week who have been hyped for it and then saw it either yesterday or the day before.
Mhm.
And what I gathered was that he mostly fought back against Godzilla by ripping off one of like Godzilla's like spinal plates and using it as like a shield against Godzilla. Is that true?
No, that came from Dagon. But yeah. That tool got used, but it was from an older
It came from
Godzilla.
Dagon.
Yeah. The Godzilla who the species was named after, who has been dead a long time. Anyways, there's a reason the whole
Right,
war thing
so
happened.
it's-
Anyways.
Yeah, so is Godzilla impervious to its own attacks because Godzilla feasts on nuclear energy? So is that why that works?
Sort of. So, nuclear energy is like baby stuff compared to what he'd be pulling out from the planet core normally. But yeah, so basically,
Sure.
yeah, because that stuff absorbs into it for
So,
Godzilla to reroute, that's why using the tool, when combined with the other thing to keep it from just exploding in any direction, worked.
So, from what I can tell, based on the movie's setup, right?
Mm-hmm.
All Titans get their energy from the same spot, right? There's like a Titan like engine that makes Titans somewhere in the middle of the Earth, and sometimes the Titans that live there come up somehow. Is that correct?
Basically, yeah. I'll explain more in a bit
So
here
by
of
that
what
logic-
they've given us throughout the series. Yeah. Go on.
So by that logic, right? If they're all getting energy from the same spot, right? They're all powering up, right? Are they all equally powerful, or does like what they were before they Titanized matter, or are they Titans just born from nothing out of this thing? Like, does it just create them, or do things like become Titans
That stuff where
by like sucking on Mother Earth's like tit?
the legendary version hasn't given us the exact answer to that, but it's made a few little things where you can start guessing. But it hasn't directly answered
Okay.
that. So,
But in previous, like Godzilla works, like Showa era Godzilla, for instance, does that hold true, or
with
how,
those
how did
ones,
that function back then?
okay, the way that functions back then is the planet. So in the old school stuff, the planet essentially had its titans, essentially. Okay, we didn't have that word back then. We just had the kaiju. So you had its kaiju, and the kaiju had their own sort of like battles and things like that way back when. That would determine who wound up in what sort of position later on, and then that combined with a few other things and espers and all these other things would decide what kaiju became champion guardians of the planet, basically. Who was in charge of its power and, it itself. Its spirit, basically. And then from that, its chosen ones who would, communicate that would, find a kaiju and connect to it. And that's sort of how we got Mothra and a couple others. who had worshippers. Like Rodan had its own kaiju bug things who sort of worshipped it and fed themselves to it, and it was really fucked up. Mothra had, the fairies and whatnot. And so those ones were sort of the ones who were chosen to find the other champions who were needed to handle the problem, to fix the world if it was a problem, and fix it. Godzilla was an artificially created kaiju in that run of things, and he wound up being chosen to be a guardian by the world later, after being a villain for so long and everyone having to fight and keep him in his place. But yeah, he was artificially created by man, fucking with like shit that comes from like way back underground. So that was the old school how that was handled. The new school seems
I thought
a little similar, but not to the same extent. But yeah, go on.
I was gonna say I thought, and maybe this is just from art history school, but that Godzilla was created from. Because I remember back in art history class, they were saying Godzilla was essentially a metaphor for the atomic bomb on the Japanese people.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they weren't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I was under the impression, and this is probably wrong, but that Godzilla was actually created as like essentially a monster of nuclear fallout.
Yeah, he was. That's why he was a villain at first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he later becomes this.
He later gets chosen
Earth's
to
hero.
become a guardian, yes.
Right.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that happens after the first one dies and we get the second one and all the other stuff. Yeah, it takes a while. But yeah, that's part of why all these other
Alright,
kaiju
Because I
showed
heard
up
in like
to
the
fight him.
first like.
Because he was a
Yeah, because
fucked up
the
monster.
people at work were talking about
Who got Tina?
Oh yeah.
where like
Oh, yeah.
Godzilla is a bad guy for like the first like 15 20 years of its existence. They said like through the 50s to about mid 60s, and then like mid 60s to mid 70s Godzilla is a good guy, but before that, not so much.
Yeah, and it actually takes Godzilla dying and then the new one rising up to take his spot for him to become a true good guy. But that happens in a whole cool champion battle thing that, basically seems like everyone's fucked, but, winds up leading to that. It's really cool. The character's been through so much and evolved throughout the years. It's like if the Joker became a Green Lantern. Like what? But in the MonsterVerse, they carried that
so maybe
through.
at this point you can.
Gotcha.
So maybe at this point you can go ahead and run us down the plot of the movie, because I'm missing some things.
Okay.
And Joey only has like bits and pieces.
So, the human side plot is pretty simple. Someone is refusing to acknowledge basic shit. And so isn't, going to the basic source of, like, figure it out. Because they're stuck on wolves for some reason. But they don't say wolves in this movie because we're sick of it from the last one. So anyways, the daughter of this person is like, yo, this crazy dude is crazy, but he's correct. I'm gonna go find him, and I'm gonna bring a normie person with me. For some reason. So she does that. Wada bing, wada boom. Hey, crazy guy is right. Yeah, boom. Go figure. He's also crazy, but whatever. Done. Like, I like crazy guy. He reminds me of, like, my type of people. Just a little extra. Anyways, so we have that. That's the human side of the story. Pretty simple. Done. It's meh. The rest of it is Ghidorah's story. Now...
Hi, sweetheart.
Oh, hey, he's a person. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. I'll pet the cat.
Do.
I'll pet the cat while I wait. Yeah, petting the cat. This is Clyde. I'm petting him. He's cute. Have you,
It's a
Clyde?
cool cucumber, bro.
Yeah, he's a cute cucumber. He's all rolled up. So I'm just waiting for that person to be back and acknowledge us. Because I'm sure they had to walk away for something.
I can go silence myself.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is...
Yeah, what daughter of dude and daughter's friend and like crazy podcast guy, what they were doing seemed significantly less important than everything else that was going on.
Yeah, it caused one
'cause they're
thing
like-
that was useful, and that lasted as long as it should have, which was a few seconds. Other than that, yeah, not much. Because, no, they were too late to get anything done except for that one little thing they do. And I'll get to that in a bit. I'm waiting for Joey to be back.
It seemed more like, it seemed very background-esque. Like, okay, cool. They're investigating this this company, and oh yeah, it turns out they're evil. Okay, but we kind of already knew that, like pretty much out the get-go.
So
So everything they're doing is just like reinforcing something the audience already knows.
And it doesn't get anyone else to come notice or interact with it in any way, shape, or form. Literally,
Right, yeah, if they were like videotaping it or streaming it or something,
or were
like,
able to
their
get
adventure.
Monarch, like if she was able to get information to her dad, and her dad sent a team to go help or something, and then that team was what caused the other thing there, or them working together at the end part, then it would have meant something, but that never really happened. So, unfulfilling?
Like,
It's one of those things I'd have modified.
yeah, it felt pointless. Like I'm like I like this like crazy podcast guy. He seemed pretty cool.
See-
I like the way he went about things and like his like crazy nature. But like I just because I like the characters, I mean I like that plot line.
Yeah, it's because they didn't
It
get
could have
to...
been more.
Hello, you're back. So, why the human plot line didn't work, and what could have been done to make it work? I'm going to go into this real quick. So, human plot line, a few things are going on. How to make it work. Okay, here's how you make it work. When they're testing Mecha Godzilla, or whatever, and doing the fight against the Skullcrawler thing, whatever, have those humans get to a position where they can fuck it up by maybe releasing a bunch of Skullcrawlers at once, which would be a really epic way of showing how cool the Mecha Godzilla is, because then it still handles it and kills them all. That'd have been dope. It would have showed how kick-ass that thing is, and how futile the humans' efforts are, so when they finally do something useful, it's, actually meaningful, that impact. Even if it is something minor, it would showcase, oh yeah, we're up against this thing, and we did this. Anyways.
I mean, it's basic story structure, right?
Yeah.
It's that fall before the rise.
Yeah, the kaiju storyline had all the structure there, especially if you'd seen the previous stuff, when you get to your big reveal. But that takes too long to get to in the movie. Yeah, I agree with Will on that one. Like, the humans should have figured this out a lot sooner, so this part of the plot line would be there, so everyone else could really appreciate what was going on. So the part that took too long to get to was that Mecha Godzilla is Ghidorah. That took too long to get to. If that had been revealed earlier, with the humans going in there and sneaking into stuff and whatnot, that would have brought that plot line forward and moved this whole thing. But here's the thing. I actually wasn't expecting Mechagodzilla to be King Ghidorah. I was expecting that to be the thing that they were looking for to power him up, was a part of him or something, But, or that they would have fucked with King Kong with Ghidorah's stuff or something, but they didn't do that. They didn't do any of that plotline. What they did instead, though, was they gave King Ghidorah a cult. That's what this movie was, and that's why the bad guys seem stupid, because they were. They were literally under the influence of King Ghidorah the whole time. Yeah, they're stupid little bitches who are cultists under him without realizing it. That's the thing. So,
Okay.
the stupid humans, the bad guy ones, managed to, air quotes, get a hold of the bones of King Ghidorah, aka they were drawn to it and picked it up because they're stupid and easily manipulated. That's what Ghidorah does.
Yeah,
He's
One Ring-esque.
Yeah. Ghidorah is a psychic alien who eats the titan-generating powers of planets and consumes them for himself, and then moves on to the next one once the energy's gone. Which is part of why he was so fucking weak before, is he hadn't eaten the planet in a while, and his energy's slowly draining out. Ta-da! Anyway.
And he still and he still managed to wear out Godzilla because he's a fucker.
Yeah. So, this character, he's air quotes dead. The reason he's staying dead is so he doesn't get fucking murked, because Godzilla can kill him. So, what he's doing, he's got the humans, he found a way for the humans to make him regenerate without it regenerating his body. Instead, it would just regenerate his mind, and that could be hopped around through all the different facilities. That was pretty easy once we saw it the way it was and them talk about it. It's like, oh, that's what's going on. Ghidorah's done this kind of shit in the past. No problem, no problemo. This is the character we're used to, being his stupid asshole self. What was neat was that they had one skull in the Mechagodzilla, although I wish they would have gone that a little bit more, and another one in a different location, which made so much sense because the reason Ghidorah died when he fought Godzilla last time was his whole body was in one spot. It's also why he survived this movie, is because the one skull is still not destroyed. So he's still technically still out there and usable for other movies. Yay. The fucker survives. Anyways, so the whole plot line is King Ghidorah's fucking shit up. So King Ghidorah is trying to create a new body that he can use to defeat Godzilla. Super easy, right? Take out that guy, and then, replace him. And then everyone will love him again, and he can use this new body without ever wasting his to drain all the energy and stuff, build himself back up better and new without ever being in a weak state. Super simple, super awesome, very in character, 100%. Anyone who's seen that character in other movies would completely understand this is the type of bullshit he does. I actually wasn't expecting Ghidorah. I was expecting it to be Dagon. And the reason I was expecting it to be Dagon was, Dagon, the name. That's straight out of the Cthulhu mythos, and Dagon's not a good guy. He's a horrific monster, and it makes sense that it would have taken over humanity at one point back in the ancient times, and then the Kongs would have been people's only way of fighting back against that thing. And not because, they're a big monkey, but because you can communicate with the big monkey, and it will, listen to you instead of just, say "faff off." So, which was a big plot point with King Kong in this movie, was they actually got to the point where they're signing with him, and I was like, oh, thank God. I've been waiting for that since I first learned of the character. I was like, oh, big giant gorilla, that's cool. I wonder if people can talk to it and, be buddies, and in all the cartoons and stuff, they always were. So they finally put it into a movie, thank God. Oh, God. Anyways. So, King Ghidorah is running the show here. His body parts are manifesting. Whenever he sort of gets his energy into it and starts using it and whatnot, Godzilla notices because he remembers King Ghidorah, and when Ghidorah was activating, he went across the globe to go find and destroy this son of a bitch. So, that's what Godzilla's doing in this movie, is tracking down the pieces of Ghidorah and trying to destroy him. But because Ghidorah's not physically there, he can pop his energy away at any point, back to wherever, and then Godzilla would see it as, that part's been defeated. Okay, I'll move on until I find him again. It also explains his actions towards King Kong in this movie. Because one, we know this Godzilla's been around a long time. It's also been in the underground areas and stuff, and has seen all of the iconography down there. We know that. The next thing is, he knows that the Kongs have fought the other Godzillas in the past. That's a thing that has happened. The humans suspect that Godzilla would hunt down and kill Kong if he were loose. Which makes sense if he's an enemy and you perceive it as such. But boom. The next big thing on that list of factors is Godzilla's looking for a King Ghidorah he can't find. And the last time King Ghidorah was around, he got every freaking Titan he could find and used them against Godzilla. So, Godzilla seeing a fucking Titan that's on his level appear somewhere, you know what? I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking kill that. Especially if that one's already an enemy of yours and you know it. It gives you all the reason to fight. You're like, King Ghidorah has gotten this guy to be his champion. I'm gonna fucking take this guy down so I can take Ghidorah down too. He ain't gonna use that guy against me. It makes perfect sense. And when we see how fucking crazy evil happy Godzilla looks after he, nearly kills King Kong in the movie, it makes perfect sense because he thinks he's killing the champion of Ghidorah. Yeah, makes sense.
Fuck that dude, Ghidorah sucks.
Yeah, Ghidorah's a bitch. He's only been a good guy in one movie ever. That's it. Ever.
Okay. We can all agree that wasn't even a true good guy. It was more like, I need to kill this thing. And he died killing that thing.
True.
He wasn't even full strength there. They had to give him a metal head for that.
Yeah.
So it was more like we have a common enemy kind of thing.
Yep.
And that's the closest you can get with King Ghidorah.
True. But yeah, so it's actually very interesting on the kaiju side of the storyline, but the what the human characters we're following are doing, not so much. If we were actually following the stupid cultist humans, I think we could have had a better movie. If we had them and then seeing the actions of these other people interfering and coming in there, you know, maybe have one of the characters, you know, actually be like, if we'd followed all three of them, like the daughter, the dad, and the Esper. If we followed all three of those guys, we'd have had a good movie. And like, if especially if we had more time with the daughter before she went to the underground part, because we could have had her looking into this guy who's like, you know, got a weird podcast and supposedly has a rank in there, and like trying to go through the people and stuff to figure it out. That would have been cool, and we would have had justification when he shows up later and fucks up their thing.
Though I was also really hoping for Coolest introduction to Espers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It felt a little bit like annoying, like, cause usually whenever they introduce Espers, they're never in the evil side. And that's how they did this time.
It was a really interesting change of pace where they had Espers being introduced like straight up for the first time as a villain to start off instead of, you know, as a heroic character. So if you're wondering, the guy piloting Mechagodzilla.
For us who don't know anything.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. See, that was going to be my question. What, Esper? I know what that word means. What?
Yeah. He's the guy piloting, air quotes, Mechagodzilla. Essentially, he's the thing that Ghidorah is using to connect himself. He's just a catalyst tool for that until he no longer needs it. Once he gets that energy source, he doesn't need the guy and he kills him off immediately. If we were looking at this from Cthulhu style, that guy would be the High Priest. Which, you know, since I was originally thinking Dagon, I was thinking that sort of. So that guy's the High Priest, and the people under him are like, you know, the people running that guy's society, essentially. Like, those are the cultist leaders and all these other stuff. And they actually had 3 cultist leaders. We had the lady who went to the Hollow Earth to make sure that Ghidorah would get his power source. We had the one keeping Ghidorah connected, who was, you know, the High Priest, who was the Esper, the Asian guy. And we had the guy with all the money and whatnot, who was the third head. Which is probably the derp head, because, you know, he's kind of dumb, but he's handling the human side of things. Which is the money and the infrastructure and all that. So, we did have Ghidorah's 3 heads represented with people, as High Priest, and all of them got killed, as they should be, before he started acting on his own. So, first chance Ghidorah got, once he had all of his energy, he killed all of his High Priests. He destroyed the Esper first, you know, like frying his brain. But I think that, in the way it was shot, it shows that second, but, you know, the other guy gets killed too. Bloom. And the daughter dies in the underground before ever making it out from King Kong.
King Kong.
Boom, which was pretty epic.
I loved it.
That was great. Yeah, so they get destroyed, and then Ghidorah starts acting on his own, and that's where we get the Mechagodzilla fight. He's like, okay, I got all the energy and power I need, I'm gonna go kick some ass. And so he does so. And if Godzilla didn't do some god tier shit, like, he wouldn't have lost that fight. So, god tier shit Godzilla got to do in this movie. Okay. The super most cool thing.
Quick question before we get into that, though.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Right. So this is obviously Godzilla and King Kong. It's actually Godzilla versus Ghidorah, aside from probably marketing reasons. But because I feel like Ghidorah, at least to the actual Godzilla fans, is probably more prominent than Kong.
Mm-hmm.
it's more subtle. I think Kong's just kind of there.
So-
I think it's like there's two movies here, right? There's the movies for the people. There's the movie for the Godzilla fans, the movie Sky saw, and the movie Sky's describing. And then there's the movie that everyone else is going to see, right? And that movie is like humans trying to control giant monkey to make giant monkey do what humans want. Humans get their comeuppance for it.
Yeah. Which is only one
Sure.
part of the 3 parts of Ghidorah's plan, which is awesome because there's so many things going on with this movie, but I understand why they had a hard time doing it and certain things got left behind, which is kind of sad. Because, yeah. But yeah, so there's another movie here, which is the Heroes movie, and that's, Kong's movie. Which is how it sort of ran and meant for, like, anyone who has no idea what the fuck's going on to watch and enjoy and latch onto. Because King Kong has the whole hero's journey happen to him, It does. And he literally does.
Mm-hmm.
And, he winds up in the final battle there fighting against the guy he's been fighting. And then literally being killed by that guy. And then coming back. And then standing by that guy to defeat this greater threat. And then after that, ending their war with a truce. Which was dope. That was all King Kong's decision. He could have continued that fight to the bitter end. But he ended it there. Like, it's dope. Like, he literally got over his people's and the other people's war and whatnot in that end movie part, which is dope. It's so good. But yeah, that's another big part. We actually got to see win and loss with Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, their battles, we've had battles where, Godzilla won that fight, or Kong won that fight. But when it came down to the death final fight, Godzilla won. Which is crazy, because the last time they fought in movie canon and whatnot, the final strike went to King Kong, who flung Godzilla down into the sea, and Godzilla just left. And that's how it ended, Neither of them were dead. And in the original cut, you had both King Kong's roar and Godzilla's roar, but both of them went home afterwards. They're both alive and they both went home. In this movie, Godzilla actually kills Kong. His heart is stopping. He is going to die. But humans resurrect Kong, bring him back from, being dead. And then the same ending happens, though, where Godzilla and Kong meet up for this final thing, but instead of having a fight, they just straight up call truce after they work together on this thing, and then they both go their separate ways, and they both go home. But that ending wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for God tier shit by Godzilla. So the coolest God tier thing Godzilla got to do in this entire movie, that showed he's so much more than your regular average Joe, that he is the Ghidorah of this planet, only one who's not a bitch, is that he does the atomic blast, and it goes all the way through to the hollow earth.
Oh yeah, that was him. I didn't know what he was doing there, and when he was doing it, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that is absolutely batshit insane, especially since the humans basically have to go through a portal that, reverses gravity on them and other shit to get in and out of there. It's, a third of the movie is the humans trying to figure out a way to get in there and out of there safely. And Godzilla can just do it in a few seconds because he's fucking Godzilla. He's not trapped by human mortal shit. He can go beyond that. And it really shows it in that moment, because he made a way that Kong can get in and out from there, Which is nuts. Yeah, it's really, really ridiculous and cool. Yeah. So there's a lot that happens here. This movie is insane, really good for what it is, and for them forgetting a few things or letting some go wayside or choosing one wrong decision or another. I'm not going to give them too much guff about, because I see what was trying to happen and what they were going for, and it came out a lot better than a Hollywood production normally does.
So is this better than or equal to the first Godzilla movie of this series of Godzillas, if you will?
Oh, this is definitely better than
Cinematic universe.
this is definitely better than the original introduction to this cinematic universe, because the Godzilla movie it was a setup movie. That's what it was. It was a build up, a hype movie. It's like a commercial. That was really
Sure.
what it was. It was a commercial for Godzilla. And we finally got we finally got we finally got to have Godzilla movies afterwards. So yeah.
Because what I'll say is, for the people that I was at work with, they were saying that they should have brought back Gareth Edwards, who did that first movie, because I thought the first movie was infinitesimally better than this one.
No. I'm going to say that right now. These movies are different. That movie is all about getting you the spirit and soul of Godzilla into a movie and getting you that essence. This movie is telling a complicated story that involves all of these different characters, but had some production issues and lost some of it along the way. It's like, Game of Thrones. That's what this is compared to that other movie. Like, that would be the Lord of the Rings movies, which they're great. They're their own thing, though. And then this would be like the Game of Thrones series, There's great things to it, a lot of great stuff, but then there's some absolute shit.
I feel like it'd be more fair to compare it more like the first movie would be Captain America, and this movie would be more like
Avengers.
The Avengers. Like Captain America is good, and the Avengers was good, but comparing like an origin story for one character versus a large cinematic blockbuster with a bunch of characters in it isn't really fair to either movie.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying here. And then this one also had some, like I said, production things that definitely happened. You can tell by certain decisions being made and certain other ones getting cast to the wayside. Like, I feel that there was too much time spent arguing with Toho about, please let me show emotions on Godzilla, please let me show emotions on Godzilla, please. To the point where they lost sight of a few other things that would have really amped up the movie a little bit. Like refocusing the human story not on the people going in who we've seen before, but on the new characters, and then them being affected by the old characters. That would have been a better way of handling those guys. Stuff like that. Like, I feel like fighting for certain things that definitely helped the movie made them lose track of a few other things they could have worked on if they weren't doing that. There's a few things where you can tell production stuff got in the way of making it as good as it could have been. One of the big things I would have changed if I did this movie was after King Kong gets supercharged and, brought back from the dead, I would have had him electrocharged, like in the original movie. And I'd have him go, when he hit Mechagodzilla, it would be like a whole, electric blast sort of thing, and sort of almost power down Mechagodzilla for a moment, and then Mechagodzilla power back up, But then that'd be the whole blast gone, and King Kong no longer having it in him at all, no longer being electrocuted or electrocharged. That would have been a nice ode to the old movie, as well as allowing for special, unique figures to be made of it, and all this other, cool stuff you could do, and also giving almost like he did a godly thing, but now it's gone type of thing. So that is a little more chance of showing how Godzilla could respect him a bit there in that. And then also noticing that this energy was used against Ghidorah, which would have been cool. It would have been a nice little scene change to that scene, I could have even had him channel it through the axe or something. But, that was one of the things where I would have minorly changed it to bring home the point a little more. But little stuff like that. Yeah, you guys want to interject and talk a bit about stuff before I go on to more things? Because I'm just going to talk good things. Well, and a few annoying things.
Yeah. So, now that we've reached this point, do you want to explain to us, are these giant things, equal to each other? Or, is there, there's, some sort of pecking order, obviously. but like it's there seems to be an extreme like um just power disparity. That's the words I'm looking for. A power disparity. At least on the surface, just talking about paper, it doesn't seem like a fight between those two characters should be close.
Yeah, and here's what it is. Okay, you're pitting a T-Rex against a person. Is basically what's happening. In a fair fight, the T-Rex is always going to win. But the thing is, the person has tools and bullshit and environmental advantages and normally teamwork, which, you know, Kong sadly did not have at this time because he's the only one of him. But that's the thing. Normally, he wouldn't be. If you look at the axes down there wasn't just one axe. There was like 4 or 5 of them. Which implies that there was a whole team of Kongs that did that. Yeah, like, oh man, those things, there's a whole set of them that we used to get empowered and whatnot. And he had one. One which was in the bones of probably another Godzilla with the way it looked. It could have been something else, but it looked like a Godzilla. So it feels like it was one that was left behind when his people had to leave, or whatever happened there. So...
Okay, so you say his people, right? What? I didn't get to that point in the movie. What?
So
about like Godzilla and King Kong, like those Kongs or whatever. Those are species. How many species are there?
Quite a few, and there used to be a shit ton more. But most of them are in those underground tunnel systems and stuff where they sort of travel between dimensions sort of things. It's a really strange place. But most of them are theorized to be in that sort of area. There's a few who are still down there in that core area for sure, and there's some on the surface. And probably a few that have escaped into space.
Okay, so there was, what, some sort of war that happened?
So
there was like a mass exodus / genocide?
From what we can get, the Kongs and the Godzillas had a war in the ancient times. And it actually makes sense if we go just off of the names. So Kong means great spirit. It's literally Kang, just with the O kept before, vowel shifts. Which is, one of the Filipino area languages. If you actually watch the original Kong, you can figure it out from there. It's all said. But yeah, basically it's great spirit or God is another interpretation for it. That's what Kong means. It has nothing to do with monkeys, it has to do with spirits and holiness. So, there's that, and then Godzilla in this one, his species name comes from a particular member of the species who was named Dagon. And if you look at that in the deity spectrum and whatnot, it's an evil son of a bitch. So, you can imagine from that and what they do show us, because they do show us that they did fight and whatnot before in the past, and then there were a bunch of Kong tools there, but most of the underground cities used to be Godzilla worshippers with Mothra and a few other ones in there. That we do see that this area is all like a Kong worshipping place, but there's still stuff of the old Godzilla people stuff there. So we can make the implication that one of the Godzillas went batshit or something, like Dagon. And then the Kongs were used to defeat him, or, went and defeated him on their own. Don't know exact specifics. The exact specifics are gone. There's something we can maybe figure out in other movies if they continue it, but we know what happened. And we know that Kong's people, the Kongs that made it to Skull Island, well, there's a reason they were there. Something happened. They were there. They didn't have any of their tools. And the skull crawlers came after them and fucked that shit up. We know that there's a dead Godzilla down there in the Kong place with an axe in it, and the other axes were all left behind. So we can make assumptions all day, but what it seems like is that Kong in the end had to retreat with his people. Maybe they went crazy too. Don't know. We literally don't know the specifics of what happened there. But we know they fought. We know there were issues. Which is also why, Godzilla was pissed when he saw Kong show up. Because he knows that. Yeah, fun.
Seems like a lot of people just go crazy.
Yeah, we don't know why they would go crazy if they were just, an evil person. Like, an evil Godzilla. Or just one who was a jerk. or
Sorry, my cats are so excited that now's a good time to start.
but we also know that Ghidorah's been to the planet before, so it's also possible he fucked up that and caused that whole confrontation in the first place. The first time he showed up and tried to eat the planet. There's all sorts of possibilities there, but it would make the most sense if Ghidorah was the thing that triggered it all, because of course he would. He's that kind of bitch. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, he really is.
So is Ghidorah in the movie is it established? I mean, like you said, this is
Oh yes, this movie established. Wait, yeah, you're cutting out.
Based on just so just to clear it up though, but no there's no direct like reference that Ghidorah was the one who started any of this, or there's no real hard evidence towards.
There's no
like, there was a
concrete
war,
evidence.
and Kong and Godzilla fought, and then they had to retreat for whatever reason. There's nothing in the movie or any of these movies that
There's
points towards
concrete evidence that the species fought, and that there were multiples of them, and they had a war, or some sort of physical confrontation that was not good. That is for sure, 100%.
Okay.
And that Kong used to be underground
if
and now
most
above.
of the stuff seems like order.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are put into the background work, or split into the goddamn comics, which I have mixed feelings about.
What's wrong with the comics,
Okay.
really?
It seems like a lot of these things are like implied.
So, if a lot of it's implied, and you're doing this off your own base knowledge of Godzilla, how closely do you think that this new era of Godzilla is following, or how close do you think they will continue to follow in the footsteps of the Godzillas of past?
Well, this is how far
Definitely
they
seems
planned
like
it.
they've put a lot of effort into it.
So this is how far they planned it. So this is like phase 1 of the Avengers, like getting to the actual Avengers movie. This is that for the MonsterVerse. Now,
Right.
China loved this movie. They put a lot of money into it. So they're definitely going to continue, but the question is how and why and who. If they get people who are as faithful and true and caring about the original material as the people they've had throughout this entire run, because Gareth Edwards did a good job. The guy who did Skull Island, gave a shit about all of this stuff, but wanted to present it in a new way,
Skull Island was dope, though.
Yeah, my biggest bitch about the Skull Island movie is the way they did the Iwi, but I'll get to that later. Even though I did like them. Stuff like that. As long as they keep people like that when they do their next phase, this will be very truthful and pure to the old stuff. We had a weird thing happen where whoever was running King of the Monsters, whoever that one was, didn't I don't know, they had an issue with the spiritual side of the things and were too stuck on Rambo. I just want to put it that way. Like those types of movies, because they sort of had this thing where they refused to let the characters who were there as specialists be specialists. Instead, they gave random wolf dude all of the knowledge that these people would have, instead of using him as a point where he leads the group to finding their answers. Instead he just sort of picks out the answer instead of helping them do something that then helps them find the answer. Like a few things like that are against the spirit of the Godzilla franchise. But I think if they just learn from that little part and keep up with all the other people who care about its spirit, well, it'll go great.
So the King of Monsters one you're saying is kind of just like if you took out all the metaphor and essentially just made a Rampage, but with branded Godzilla monsters.
I wouldn't say all of the metaphor. I'd say you lost a big chunk of it. Because it's a huge chunk of it that should be there that's not, but there are other pieces that are definitely 100% there. It's just they didn't take it as far as they should have with the franchise. Maybe they were playing it safe, maybe something else. I don't know. But for me, it feels they were just too Rambo-ho for it. You know, I like Rambo, but
This is not Rambo.
this is not Rambo. This is
Yeah, 'cause I remember one of the really big complaints about that movie when it came out was that there was actually too much monster fighting.
yeah.
Which is
I-
a weird complaint.
I think it was because that they Americanized the human side of it so much that you didn't get as much as what you should have out of the people stuff. Even though there's a lot going on there, but yeah, the monsters were the main focus. Like I said, it was very very Rambo. Like you got Rambo and you got the enemy and go. You don't have any of that middle ground stuff. This was supposed to be a Saving Private Ryan, but it was instead Rambo. You know.
Two very different films.
Two very different films, yeah. So you had a person who makes Rambos trying to make Saving Private Ryan, and it was a little too Rambo. That's the feeling change. Like, sure they tried, but they don't have all the stuff for it, or whatever. Or maybe they didn't try, but they had all this other stuff. The thing is, that one had some issues that kept it from being perfect. It was really close, but if they were able to capture that spirit, it would have been infinitely better. But yeah, let's talk about this one a bit more. So, the Hollow Earth segment. I want to talk about that for a bit. So, in the Hollow Earth, we got to see a few monsters, and they are pretty cool. We saw a new version of the Skull Island little pterodactyl-looking dudes. I'm sure the new one's got a new name, or maybe they're just bigger ones than the other ones, but whatever. They're a different version of it. So that was cool to see, like, what they looked like when they used to live down there versus what they looked like on Skull Island type of thing. That was cool. The other thing we got down there that was neat was the air quotes war bat, end air quotes, which is, the Godzilla 1998 cartoon series snake villain.
I know! He was there! I loved it!
It was super dope. They brought them back and put two of them in the movie. Oh, it was super cool. I like that. That was awesome.
That's so awesome.
Flying super snakes. That was cool.
I didn't think they were even gonna give a shit about it in any of the future series.
And I like how... Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. I like how they utilized Kong figuring out the gravitational wonkiness there as a potential explanation for how those snakes were flying around and whatnot so easily. So they didn't directly state anything, but it gives you enough when you see that later looking back on it. You can go, okay, maybe they were using some of this magnetics here to do that. Maybe it wouldn't work if they were in the world above. So some interesting stuff like that. That was really cool. Again, so many odes to the old stuff that was actually good were in this movie. When Kong's walking around down there, we see these weird little crab things walk out. They're big, but they're tiny compared to Kong. And there's so many things that those are referencing that it's pretty ridiculous. So there's some sea creatures from the 1998 Godzilla cartoon series that they could be referencing. I won't go into exact specifics, but they have a lot of the looks of them. But also their base body shape and whatnot is something horrifying. And they have that sort of base shape of Destoroyah, who is...
Oh, Jesus, I forgot about Destroyer.
Yeah. Who is a fucking crazy monster, and why we got Burning Godzilla the first time and everything, and it's just... awful. Absolute awfulness. And I hope we get to that character in the storyline someday. That'd be dope to have in modern times. Holy crap. Well, terrifying, but great. And it should be terrifying. That movie should be a horror movie if they do it. It should really read as one and feel like one. Yeah. The other thing we saw down there was something that made people go absolutely batshit insane. And That was there's this big lizard that comes by who has some spikes on its back and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Who noms one of these, crab-looking things, and the lizard made people go insane. Okay, so for fans of the old cartoon series and whatnot, the 1998 Godzilla cartoon series, where we see a lot of other references being made in this movie, because the cartoon series was good, but the movie was not. But the movie only wasn't good because it was a Godzilla movie. If it wasn't a Godzilla movie, it'd have been fine.
Yeah, if it didn't have the franchise of Godzilla, it would have been a great American kaiju
Exactly.
movie. If it was just whatever name they give it, they dubbed it Zilla, and it would have been fine.
Yep. But yeah, so the cartoon series had a lot of good stuff going on. And there's this big lizard that shows up, right? Boom. Anyways, it eats this crab dude, and the scene's done. This lizard made people crazy. So a lot of people were screaming that it's, Godzuki. Or, Manila. It's baby Godzilla, basically. So many people are freaking out about that and going insane, and I'm like, it's not, though. We've already got a bit of things from bones and other stuff there where we can make assumptions of what a baby Godzilla would look like in this setting, and that's probably not it. The other thing people went crazy about was saying, oh, it's Anguirus. Great. Wow, well, it's a baby Anguirus. And again, no, that's not an Anguirus. We've had an entire skeleton of an Anguirus in the Monsterverse already. We know what Anguirus would look like, and it's not that. Some other idiots went crazy and going, oh my god, it's Baragon. And to which I immediately go, it doesn't have the horn, you idiots. Although I would have blown, or the ears, my brain would have blown out of my head if Baragon showed up in this movie. I would have just absolutely lost my shit. Because they get no fucking credit, ever. Yet they're so dope and really important for the franchise. I won't even get into it right now. Anyways. Yeah, I would have been the guy to lose my head if I recognized Baragon.
I really was surprised that, just like you, that they were gonna use King Ghidorah's heads.
Yeah, because
that they were gonna reintroduce Ghidorah.
Yeah.
At all. But it really did make sense why, Godzilla was going ape shit.
Yeah, so...
the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get back to that after I finish this lizard explosion thing. But there is another character who this lizard could easily be referencing. And that is, again, if we go back to, all the things in the Hollow Earth, the 1998 Godzilla TV series that they had. In there, the son of Godzilla, who's the main character, Godzilla Jr., it has a mate at one point, who is another type of lizard, more Komodo dragon looking and whatnot, who's also, kind of tough and gruff. And they have a baby, and then they get thrown into a huge pit with a giant snapping turtle, and the mom and the baby disappear forever. Boom, that's how that part ends. This looks like if Godzilla and that particular Komodo dragon-looking thing had a baby, what it would look like. So, I feel it's just... it as a creature is an ode to that storyline. Now... what that means for the movie series, I don't know. Maybe it means something. Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it's just an interesting thing down there. Maybe it's what the Godzillas evolved from, or something. Possible. Don't know. There's all sorts of storylines for that. But yeah, really cool. I was glad to see the reference. Mine is just sleeping, being chill as fuck. And your cat's freaking out.
Running around.
Yeah, no, he's just sleeping.
Yeah. Then, let's see here. The other things, the weird birds with the bat wings and whatnot, those guys. Don't know their name yet. I'll eventually know it. I was excited when I saw them at first until I saw their face. And then I was a little disappointed. Because I was really excited to see these things, the skull vultures, show up. But these weren't those.
I saw their face.
Yeah. And so they had these bird faces instead. So in the comics they had with King Kong on Skull Island, we got to see where the lightning came from in the Eternal Storm around Skull Island. And it was creatures like that who had much more demonic, toothy, monstrous faces, who would shoot freaking lightning and whatnot, and were that big. So I thought it was those guys, and I was like, oh shit, are we gonna have some lightning flung out at people and like get to see these cool things? And then they're just big birds with bat wings, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're related, you know? Maybe it's like a distant cousin thing, like the Skull Island versions, what happened when they left, who knows? But still, it was kind of disappointing, because I was expecting a slightly cooler monster to show up than what did. You know, it's kind of like if you're promised the Undertaker in a WWE match and you get Kane. Like, you're still excited, but, you know, it's not Undertaker. You know? And that's sort of the feeling I got there. Like, oh, I was excited, but... I'm still excited, but not as excited. Anyway. Yeah, that's that. And it also would have been a cool way of showing that, you know, Kong and the lightning powers, like in the old Godzilla vs. Kong movie, of like alluding to it, like a way he could use it in the underground thing if they have him use it on the surface, but they never used that at all. But I told you how I would have done it. Anyway, yeah, so the human tech is, you know, whatever. It's magic. Got it. Because all the stuff for King Ghidorah is Ghidorah using people for it, and then, you know, those machines they use to cross into the great beyond and down into the underground stuff are, again, made with the same tech from the same company. So, again, Ghidorah-powered stuff. Got it. Yay. And, you know, so much I like about this movie, but I was hoping for just a little nod to... what's their name? King Caesar. I was hoping for a nod to King Caesar in this movie. And there's a reason
We're talking
for...
about Planet of the Apes, King Caesar?
No, we're talking about Godzilla franchise King Caesar. But
Okay, I don't know
good
who that
guess.
is.
Oh, they're a cool character. So, basically, we had another Mecha Godzilla style movie thing and whatnot. Similar plot line. Replace Kong for King Caesar, and there you go. Basically. Except make them a little more obviously a guardian and whatnot. Bada boom. Biggest differences. So I was expecting and hoping that where King Kong finds the axe and whatnot, there'd be like a statue of King Caesar or something there, you know? Or something of that sort, you know? Just to allude to that he's sort of taking that character's place in the storyline. But, you know, they didn't do that. I would have loved any sort of little nod there. Would have been great. But, yeah, it didn't happen. Oh, well. Godzilla moved so fucking fast in this movie. I loved it. So, after King Kong got, you know, fought and whatnot and stuff there's all this stuff going on. But Godzilla getting to move at such incredible speeds here for so long, because he does it, like, for a long time in this movie, is really cool, because we've seen him go from basically an era of inactivity to where he's been doing crazy shit and, like, actually been so crazy supercharged that he freaking irradiated entire cities away in his wake, you know. We got to see that. And now it's sort of like he's starting to tone down from that power level. So we're seeing he's still got all of this, like, speed and whatnot from it, and, like, his abilities, but he's still worn down from it, and it's, like, slowing down in power level. Which is great. They're actually de-escalating his power, but still having him at a higher point in it than where he was in earlier movies. So, I like that, personally, because it helps get us refocused for having another villain and him actually be powerful again, you know? Like, if Superman just keeps getting more and more powers and whatnot, and never gets weaker, or gets back down to a curve point, then, you know, no one's going to seem like a threat to him, ever. Like, when Superman in the comics had the ability to shoot mini versions of himself out of his, like, symbol, and then, you know, those would go and do the same thing he could do, and then they'd disappear after a day or whatever. That was ridiculous. That was too far, you know? And in the cartoon series and movies and stuff, they never did that, and they never should have done that. And because they didn't, you know, villains could actually matter. Instead of like, oh shit, there's 10,000 Superman's here now, and they can all time travel and do all this other stuff, and we're all just fucked. Like, boom. Villainy never exists in the first place. Wow. You never want to get that far. And here, we actually have de-escalation of Godzilla going down. He still does some god-tier shit, but there's one god-tier move in the entire movie, and the rest is him, like, at this really high point where you can tell he's still super incredibly powerful, but he's coming down. And that's great. That actually showcases that King Kong is actually on a relatively decent power level. Like, if King Kong from this movie had fought Godzilla from the first movie, like, you know, from the Gareth Edwards version, it would be pretty damn close to an even fight. You know? But this version of Godzilla is so amped up that it's not. You know, and it really wasn't. Like, no, it wasn't. But yeah, it's good. Ugh, I love this movie. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on, a lot of good things, but a lot that could have been worked with. I was really expecting Mechagodzilla to be ran from Dagon's bones, not Ghidorah's bones, but that was a good plot twist. That was one that I liked and made sense of it. But yeah, another point that is very interesting I need to bring up here from early in the movie. They mentioned that the Iwi are dead.
Yeah, there was like the last one was in the movie, right?
Yep. And that made me mad. But whatever. Anyways, the reason they're dead, though, is they died to the storm?
Ghidorah.
Exactly, and that actually brings another point where, if we remember in canon, official canon from the comics, okay, the storm around Skull Island has these electric giant monsters in it who shoot lightning all the time. That's where lightning comes from. The storm is active there all the time, though, whatever. And then in the movies, we have King Ghidorah, when he's flying around, he turns into a crazy storm thing, and it's also the reason there's lightning in that storm, is from him. So, we can, assume he is literally the storm. So if he flew over Skull Island, he could be what killed all the Iwis. Not just randomly the storm came in on everybody and killed them, but literally Ghidorah fucked up the storm system there when he went by and made it kill everyone. That would make sense. I don't know exactly when the storm stuff happened in their storyline, whatever, blah, 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 but that makes sense. Same with the third head. They could have another piece of Ghidorah be there on Skull Island, and that be what caused the storm to get so crazy. Whatever. They got lots of things they can do and try to fuck around with. Or even some other horrible entity building up there. Apparently Rodan's dead in the storyline at this point. There was a quick snippet of that at the beginning of the movie.
I thought he was just marked as defeated.
Yeah, he was marked as defeated, so don't know if he's dead, or just, inactive again. We don't know. Yeah. But yeah, it's...
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff. But I really hope they... continue the MonsterVerse well. Give us a little break from Ghidorah while Ghidorah is trying to get everything together and do stuff again. But, still showcase that stuff with Ghidorah is happening in the background, and give us a final confrontation where we finally, kill Ghidorah, and make it a big climactic battle where it takes everyone, where it takes Kong, Godzilla, Anguirus, or whoever else we decide to have, and everyone has to battle him again to finally defeat him for real. But maybe they have to fight him in different areas. Maybe there's multiple Ghidorahs at this point. Maybe Ghidorah's manifesting like a World Eater type of situation, or any of the other really kick-ass ways he's gone about it. Like the the devil style body. They could give him that, where he's got like the full dragon body and then the Hydra heads on top. They could do that situation for a finale with the character. That'd be great. That would be really great, actually. Also, I can't wait for Gigan. Give us Gigan. Hate Gigan, but love Gigan at the same time. We need to get to Gigan. We've got to our Espers, and it's been really nice. We've gotten to our aliens through Ghidorah, but I think it's time we have our alien meets human hybrid functionality with Gigan. If they don't want to use Gigan, I think that if they take Godzilla 1998's example and make a bunch of them, though, like a bunch of Zillas, as a thing, that would be a great threat to a city and whatnot. We could have a really cool battle between Godzilla and several Zillas at the same time. That'd be fun. But, you know, they gotta do something fun and interesting and give us our weird hybrid of machine and alien kaiju. It'd be dope. Please. But yeah, that's where I'd go next. Get the Gigan, get to maybe Destoroyah or one of the other big nasties, and then finish up with finally finishing Ghidorah's storyline for sure, where they actually break all of his pieces and we're done with it. Yeah,
Alright.
or give Ghidorah a win. Yeah, because if they go the route where Ghidorah winds up killing Godzilla and we have a new Godzilla rise up, that'd be pretty kick-ass too.
How dare you?
Yeah.
God damn it. I fell
So,
in the water.
when I came into this movie, I was honestly expecting King Kong to die and stay dead. That was my expectation for the movie. Like, I knew they'd team up at some point and fight the Mecha Godzilla, but I was still expecting King Kong to die. And the reason why is these two characters both have kids, if you watch the old movies and whatnot. But King Kong's kid had a different design than original King Kong. So King Kong's child is white. Like, they have white fur. And if you try to create a animal from material and whatnot, if you fuck up a clone, they'll often wind up being albino. So I was expecting that King Kong would die, maybe fight battling Mechagodzilla, whatever, and the clone of him, we'd see it being made by the end of the movie or during the credits or whatnot, and that we'd have the albino King Kong being born. That was my expectation of what would happen. I was also ready for if they had, Godzilla die, and, that, because we've had baby Godzillas replace adult Godzillas before in the past. That would have been fine. But, yeah, both of them got to live, and, King Kong chose to end the war with that, boom, dropping of the weapon and whatnot. And it was so dope. I love it. But yeah, if you came into this movie with no knowledge that Ghidorah's a bastard and in the background running things, which, I had no knowledge of that to begin with, but I got it pretty quick in the movie and figured it out, then yeah, you're like, wow, Godzilla's being an asshole. Like, he's laughing about hurting this dude and whatnot, what a bitch. But, actually, he doesn't laugh, he gives like a smile. It's Ghidorah who actually laughs in the Mechagodzilla body at one point. He actually laughs and he causes some damage.
Godzilla actually laughed.
He did too?
But it was a lot shorter than Mechagodzilla.
I felt like it was more like a type of smile.
It was
But
more
yeah,
like... No, there was a few chuckles.
all
Again,
right.
it was more like a chuckle than an actual laugh from Mechagodzilla. I think. So killing me.
But yeah, like, it was interesting. I loved getting to see this amount of character, and it made sense since we had Ghidorah as the main villain, that there'd be this much personality pulled out from, Godzilla. King Kong, I expect it. He's a very emotional character who showcases everything and always has. That was part of the charm of the original King Kong. Was,
Also, I always liked him better just because he chose to live with humans as opposed to beside them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With these versions of the characters, I think it's very interesting. I'm bringing up this note here that King Kong originally chose to live beside humans, and Godzilla did too. But Godzilla never got past that. Godzilla would never be living with people, like in a city, or surrounded by them, or, talking to them. Like, fuck that. He's gonna go do his own thing. You just don't fuck with him, or he'll fuck right him back with you. King Kong, as a character, always takes it a step further, and even in his introduction in this series in Skull Island and whatnot, you could tell that he was like holding himself back from interacting with people more, instead of just not caring to. And so, in this movie, we actually get to see him like he's been fully interacting with and enjoying being with people, and accepted them as his. And it's really cool. I love it. He even learns how to speak with them directly. It's amazing. I love this movie. It could have been better, but it definitely could have been worse. Oh my god, this movie could have been really bad. But the greatest thing this movie does with being called Godzilla vs. Kong is it deals with their past stuff. It creates a point where they no longer fighting, and it does actually give us a winner of a confrontation. Like, if they fight to death, who would win at this point? It tells us. Which is all the things the movie needed to do. And I think it's really cool because it reversed the previous movie's decision. Where in the previous movie, it was, Godzilla who got defeated and thrown off and kicked in the ass and the one who left. In this movie, it was Kong who got defeated. So, but Kong never gave up. So yeah, it was really good. I like how it reversed it. So they're now 1-to-1 with each other, which is pretty damn impressive for, big name movie characters when they get the fight. Going 1-to-1 isn't what typically happens. Like, Aliens versus Predator, that movie series never gave us they're not evenly scored on who won what. Freddy versus Jason, same sort of thing. It's not even who won. But with Godzilla vs. Kong now, because of this movie, it's even on who's won. That's insane. And dope. I think I'm out of things to remember to talk about. There's a whole lot of shit I can talk about, but I can't think of it right now because, again, I'm tired.
Yeah, and you have so much knowledge from other things that don't necessarily apply or haven't proven to apply yet. A lot of it's theoretical and based on other things that are in the franchise, but in other versions of the franchise.
Yeah,
and so you can talk about something endlessly.
Yeah, and then you guys have the exact opposite thing here. You don't have that, so you're
you said a lot of names, and I don't know who any of those things are.
Yeah. Which is absolutely fine. Yeah, which is absolutely fine. It's like if you entered into a Star Wars movie, people who know Star Wars know way too much Star Wars, and people who don't know shit.
See me, because I really get lost with Star Wars, man.
Yeah. If someone says, "Oh, that's a Sith and whatnot," oh, he's got a face that reminds me of this guy who literally ate worlds and whatnot. I wonder what kind of power he's gonna throw at us. And it's just Darth Maul because whatever. And the prequels and whatnot, the people who knew about the other characters were like, "Oh shit." Everyone else was like, "Oh, he cool. Oh, he dead. All right, whatever." Those guys can talk about it forever though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that guy this time who can talk about this thing forever.
Yeah, we are. I don't know if we'll ever talk about a franchise that I know that well. I'd have to really think about what franchise I could talk about like that. There are some, I'm sure.
Persona.
Dude, don't even get me started. At least I've already talked about that on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
Just go watch the first dozen or so episodes of the Persona series to listen to me ramble on about Persona lore.
Seriously,
for
do
a long
it.
time.
It's pretty good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've got. I just actually recorded a couple more episodes with my kid before I came here.
Nice.
Episode 73 and 74.
That's a
We're-
plug.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're like 3/4 of the way through the game, maybe 2/3. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's any Persona game's a lot. Oh, they're remastering the PlayStation Shin Megami Tensei game. So that's
Yes,
pretty cool.
number 3.
Yeah, I can't wait
good lord.
to play through that thing with like a proper save state instead of what I had before. And that'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck the old save
It's
state.
SMT3.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play
Yikes,
through that.
okay.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, 3, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the DS one was still my favorite. Devil Survivor, whatever it was called. That one.
Oh, Devil Survivor.
I love that one. That was my fave. So far, there's a lot of them I haven't even played yet. Like, I haven't played the one where you shoot your head out with a gun every time to summon stuff. But Persona,
Persona
and
3.
stuff. Yeah, I haven't played that one.
Really, really good.
Yeah, that's what I
Persona
hear.
3 is. Persona 3 Persona 4 are very, very good, and I wouldn't be able to choose between them if you were to ask me which one was my favorite. All I know is I wouldn't pick Persona 5.
Trash.
Alright, so we talked all the Godzilla versus Kong stuff I want to talk about. Do we have anything else you want to talk about here, or should the video end?
I think you've answered a lot of questions I had, because coming into this, I knew very little, and it just seemed like, oh, big monkey, big robot, big lizard. It's pretty straightforward. Turns out not as straightforward as I thought.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is another thing I should mention real quick here about this movie before we're done. So when the guy is using, air quotes, piloting Mechagodzilla, every time you see his eyes get glazed over with that light blue thing going out when he gets possessed, and then it's really cool because he's being possessed, not running the thing. And so yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff like that going on. There are a lot of these subtle things that are just dope. But
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this movie just kept giving me heart attacks. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, that's horrible. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, these are idiots. Oh, no wonder they didn't like them. They're like the Templar. And there's all the imagery of the Templar right there.
yeah, there's a lot of Templar and Drudge witchcraft type of imagery up in this movie, which is a really
Which is what they
well
were
timed
doing.
and well placed in the movie. Yeah, it's good. There's a lot of things in the background and to the movie and in the symbols that are used in it that showcase a lot that's going on. Like, this is, if you just switched out the characters a bit and whatnot, this would be a Cthulhu movie. Like, not too hard to make it into one. Like, don't even have to change a lot of the imagery, just the main character stuff. That's it. Yeah, this is good. So that's everything I gotta say. Boom, I wanted to get that out of the system, get it done, and it is. Yeah. Wow.
All right.
Yay. I guess video over?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about something else, you should probably cut this video, and then we'll just load that up as its own topic.
Alright, we're gonna pop and lock and call it done. 3, 2, 1, boop.